Hey guys, thank you for supporting the channel. YouTube changed the rules, so green text channels like mine probably won't get monetized ever, unless something will change. Your help keeps the channel going. Thank you so much, and enjoy the next video.
Why are the sightings increasing so much lately? I live semi-rural now and I'm not sleeping well anymore knowing these things are out there.
Bro, did he escape your dungeon?
I saw one of those fuckers once. I used to love hiking with my dog. She and I would go on hikes in our area for like 30 to 60 minutes just for exercise, and I'd find cool rocks or pick wild berries. Just general outdoor faggotry. A few years ago in mid-May, just when it was getting warm enough at night to go back hiking again, I set out and started walking with my dog, who is an 85-pound German Shepherd, from a family of police dogs. She was the runt, and wasn't getting fed by the mom, so I rescued her. We were halfway through our hike when my dog just fucking stopped like someone stomped on the brakes of a car going 60 miles per hour. I tried pulling her with all my strength and she refused to move forward. Then I saw her tail between her legs, and she was growling really low, and started peeing. I was freaking the fuck out cause we have black bears in the area, and I don't carry a gun. I just had a folding knife in my pocket. So I looked forward on the trail, and there was this human-sized creature, all white and pale, no clothing, no hair. Huge black eyes that reflected light, you could see they were shiny like glass or wet. It lowered down closer to the ground like it was trying to sneak or go into attack mode, and I just fucking ran for my life. I turned around and literally grabbed my dog by the face and ran down the hill and into the cul-de-sac where my neighbor's house is. He's a retired military vet from Desert Storm or some shit. So I ran into his backyard and was screaming for him. I explained what happened, and he looked like so pale and white in his face, like he was freaking out. But he explained to me, he had been seeing this creature in his backyard in the wooded area for weeks. And he thought it was flashbacks or something caused PTSD. After that, I didn't go hiking again for about 3 months, and never alone anymore. My dog won't even go on that trail. If we get close to it she starts whining. I ran out of space. But this was in Pennsylvania near the border to Maryland where I used to live before I took a job in New York. Now I go hiking in Central Park. Never seen any more rakes, but I did see a black guy get stabbed.
These creatures are like billion years ahead in tech. They can do mind control and travel through timelines. Guns don't really hurt them. Nukes do though.
You are talking out of your ass. Crawlers, or rakes, fleshgates, skinwalkers, whatever you want to call them, aren't from another dimension. They are living beings and do generally run from gunfire and whatever they determine to be a threat. For example, here is a crawler that was found and trapped by some Russian lads in what looks like an old factory. You can see it towards the end of the video.
Куда пошел? Сюда иди.
They run from gunfire, but I'd imagine actually hitting them and dealing a lethal shot is quite difficult due to their speed and how skinny they are. Generally, they are nocturnal and only very rarely will they be out during daylight hours. They are active mostly between 12 to 3 in the morning. Usually they'll try to scare you off. If they are hunting you, they typically will mimic people in distress, loved ones you may know, babies crying, etc. They don't usually attack groups of people, as they like to go after weak and vulnerable people. My advice is, carry a form of physical defense, don't put yourself into a stupid dangerous situation, and above all else listen to your gut. If your brain is telling you something is watching you, listen to it. If it tells you to run, run. If it tells you to stay still, stay still.
Do we know where they came from?
They have traits you'd normally find in subterranean beings. Pale skin, light-absorbing eyes, very skinny, and probably moves like butter through tight, oddly shaped spaces. It seems that they can inhabit the surface but are generally only nocturnal. It's probably they come up to hunt, and if they stay up on the surface during the day they likely have well-shaded hidey spots. Oh, and to actually answer what you are asking. No, their origins are only speculation. No scientific research whatsoever has been published about them, despite the fact they aren't difficult to find, or rather, uncommon.
That's very strange. I suppose there should be an attempt to capture one, assuming they work in the framework of the laws of the universe. Maybe plots of land could be sealed off where there were sightings for testing. I'm not too smart on this. I generally dismiss skinwalker/schizo shit because it's easily explained. I do have some level of interest now, especially the ancient evidence of them, because it can't be explained.
What I've been trying to insinuate is that the government likely has an explicit interest in keeping hard physical evidence from coming to light and the general public knowing that exist. The only story I know of somebody managing to get a corpse of one involved his friend being killed by a 3-letter agency and the guy escaping to Alaska. This is because crawlers would fucking shatter the modern scientific illusion, it would shatter the false history we are told. My encounter shattered my worldview and brought me to Christ. I would love to have evidence, videos, investigations, and I think those who are capable of do and who have the balls to do it can get it done, but it's not for me. I know they exist because I saw it with my own eyes. The fucking thing was running as fast as the car I was driving away in. Anyways, crawlers and humans had to have extensive contact in the past. Like I said, an old enemy returns.
I vividly remember as a little kid having some sort of encounter with what could have been a rake or a skinwalker. Be me, 7 years/old kid in southern Nevada. Playing around behind house at about 7 or 8 p.m. Getting dark out, goth because it's not pitch black yet. Playing pretend, running around with a trash can lid and a stick as a knight. Run up to the top of this hill behind my house and look down at the bottom of the driveway. See this naked guy crouched by our dumpster. What.mov? Transfixed, watching him. Dude's really fucking pale and seems to be twitching a lot. He's not completely naked, wearing some kind of brownish cloak. He seems to sniff the air. Notice his face is almost like a coyote's. Howls, sounds like a really fucked up, warbly coyote howl. Suddenly get pants shittingly terrified. Run down the hill. Trip. Burst into tears out of fear that the guy is gonna get me. Mom comes out back, finds me and thinks I'm hurt, so she takes me in. I try to tell her about what I saw. I'm only 7 at the time, so it gets dismissed as a kid's imagination. TFW, a few days later 2 of our 5 dogs go missing. TFW, I learn many years later when I'm 16 that my dad found the corpse of one of our dogs mutilated and strung across a rock to rot in the sun.
I've had an accidental run-in with one of these. Spotted one outside around midnight, army crawling towards the pen where we keep our sheep. Only reason I knew it was outside in the first place was because our pet llama that stays with the sheep was making distress noises. From personal experience, my advice for those that run into what I did: don't make eye contact with these things. They will fuck you up mentally. Not sure if they have some form of telepathy.
Anyways, I encountered the damn thing on my own block. Close to a river, lots of creeks. Very dark side of town at night, very few people. I was hanging out with a friend and we pull you to a neighborhood still being built to drink some alcohol. We pull to the end of this straight road that ends right at a woodline, underneath a lamppost. The moment we pulled onto the road, the mood rapidly changed from relaxed to feeling very unsettled. This discomfort only got stronger as we parked. We parked backwards just to make a getaway faster because of this deep unease we were now feeling. By the time we park, my body is screaming at me that something is watching us, that something dangerous is in the woodbine. We weren't parked for more than 5 minutes and didn't drink anything, because as I was looking through the back right window I saw this patch of white skin showing through the darkness about 10 feet away from the car. The moment I saw it, I was hit with a powerful adrenaline rush even though I couldn't even make out what it was. It was of such a foreign and unusual texture that I instinctively knew whatever it was is something I'd never come across before. I freak the fuck out and tell my friend to drive, and as we drive out of there, I look back and I see this long-limbed, skinny humanoid thing running on all fours fast as fuck across the road. It was chasing us. As we hit a main road, me and my friend finally had a second to process what the fuck was going on, and we both started panicking, because he saw another one in a crouching position out of the back left window. We drive to Walmart, which while empty was well lit and had security cams. This fucking thing, it trailed behind the car on the 2-mile drive. Most of the roads along the drive are unlit as well. The fucking thing followed us to the Walmart, though we didn't see it for a time. It was about 1:15 at this point in time. Me and my friend cried and started manically laughing several times. We didn't know what to do but knew Walmart would be reasonably safe. We had parked towards an unlit road on the side of the Walmart, lots of bushes in that direction. We saw it in these bushes off in the distance. I could see a gray mass moving, what looked like eyes reflecting back, and at one point the bastard even stood up. It was rather tall but far away enough to not have quite a clear view of it. We tried taking pictures but the phone was old, and the camera was genuinely potato quality. Pickrell is one of the pictures took that night. The worst part for me personally, mentally, was when we had decided to leave for water at a 24/7 gas station in the central part of town. It was about 2:30 when we left Walmart. On the exit of the parking lot, there is a light and a wooded grove area. As we wait at the light, stuck at red, my buddy tells me he can see something moving in that area. I look, and as my eyes get used to the dark, I could see the upper area of its head, and the worst part is that I fucking locked eyes with it. I couldn't look away, I couldn't blink, I felt like I was in hell. It felt like my brain was on fire, adrenaline was rushing through me. While still locking eyes with it, as it was looking right back at me, I told my friend to run the red light, which he did. The moment I lost direct eye contact with it, I burst into tears instantly and uncontrollably. Like I said, my experience almost traumatized me and I was relatively safe. Do not lock eyes with it, it's such an ugly experience to go through. I felt like I had been up for days on end when I first got my cup of water after that.
I have a similar story. I always take my 12 gauge with me now when I am out in the middle of fucking nowhere, even if I have a vehicle. I never carried anything before this, even a knife or a phone. I was all alone out here. I'm going to make this short as possible unless you guys want more. 2012. Absolutely fucking hardcore outdoors kid, always interested in the supernatural. Kind of learned what the rake and a skinwalker was at a young age but wasn't too terrified. Live in eastern Kansas, between Topeka and Lawrence, Grantville area. Had a large black lab that always went with me on little hikes. She was a rescue, and usually had violent tendencies. My stepdad bought the farm, which had 200 plus acres of an overgrown pasture, 2 collapsed barns, and a semi-dried out pond. Place had been abandoned for years on the north side of Highway 24. Constantly heard neighbors speaking about some random white naked guy. While we were out relaxing, my black lab, Bernie, had stopped walking and began ferally growling and panic barking to the east. Immediately get a feeling of instinctual. See some movement to the northeast, between us and our house. Saw a pale figure slowly inching its way toward us. The thing had glossy black fucking eyes, and it looked like just a skeleton with a skin suit on. As I turned, I guess it noticed that I had noticed it and it began charging. Absolutely fucking panicked and sprinted toward the nearest neighbor. Bernie was right on my ass. By the time we had exited the woods, I had been torn apart by shrubbery and shit. I had literally jumped my neighbor's fence, began banging on his back door and was screaming/stuttering what the fuck just happened. He's a member of the local Potawatomi tribe, I am too, who is a Vietnam veteran. He hardcore believes in the tribal legends, that if an owl visits you, it's a horrible omen. Dragged my ass inside along with my dog, and readied up his bar rifle. A few moments after he had dragged my ass inside alongside my dog, he began breathing hard and speaking our native language. I don't speak it, but my dad knew it when he was younger. Dad is a hardcore Christian. I told him about the incident, and I will green text it next. He tore open his gun case and pulled out what I now know as a bar Browning automatic rifle. By now he already had his bar loaded up, locked the doors, and he opened a window. Told me to get down while he watched his backyard. We saw a white figure off in the distance, meters away from the fence. Thing was steadily meandering its way to the fence when he suddenly began firing. Thing had taken several rounds of 30.06 but it wasn't phased. He looked absolutely horrified. After doing research, the 3206 is a certified man killer. Suddenly went full auto and unloaded an entire magazine on the thing. Loaded another one and began firing. It had screamed in some fucked up broken human-like speech and sprinted back into the forest. Heard sirens later, and cops were swarming the entire area. Incident was logged but the officers didn't believe shit, thought it was just a goddamn mountain lion. I have seen one in the more open areas, and is rarely seen in this part of the state. When this incident happened, I wasn't living with my dad. I was living with my mom, who died earlier this year, and my stepdad. 2 years ago I brought up the story and brought up the word skinwalker in the native tongue after learning it. He looked at me in a fucking panic and told me to never speak of it again. Got pissed off at him and told him if he's such a big fucking Christian, why do you believe in something like this? Slapped me in the face and told me, there are things out there that modern man refuses to acknowledge the existence of.
Look, okay, I'll add my 2 cents. I never seen a rake, but if somebody who is not a compulsive liar told me they saw one, then I am obligated to believe them, because I do have second-hand account of a real Dogman, and I know Dogman is 100% real. Okay.
Can you expand on the Dogman story?
Both of my parents saw a Dogman at the same time. It was on a country highway at night. What do you want to know? It was just outside of a town called Newark in Illinois. If you go on maps, there is a bridge that leads to a dealership. My parents were driving towards the bridge, leaving the town and speeding up to about 50 to 60, as they passed the bridge out of town, and it ran across the road in front of them, and looked at them as it went. It was on 2 legs, but walked like it was in pain and limping, like a quasi-moto, but super fast. It held its arms up limp and across its chest, like a retard doing a Hawaiian dance. It appeared out of a mist, and disappeared into a mist on the other side of the road. It had a hunchback too. It was over 6 feet tall. Muscular upper body and arms, claws, tapered torso, muscular thighs, and huge hocks like a dog and a tail. It was brown and had medium fur like a wolf. They said it looked just like a werewolf. We actually agreed to disagree between it being a werewolf, what they called it, or an escaped bear/monkey, what I thought they saw, because neither of us never heard of a Dogman. Furthermore, my parents were not speaking when they witnessed it, and only talked 30 minutes later and had identical sighting, and did not make up a story together. They actually wish they never saw it, and it frightens my mom. They're afraid to talk about it to anyone, because people will think they're crazy. We seriously never heard of a Dogman until years after they saw it, and I decided to look it up and found Beast of Bray Road. They say it was the most evil thing they ever saw.